This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Brent Daniels. Yeah, so let's talk about that. You know, the first thing is to figure out how to make the money come in the door. And then you have the money coming in, but sometimes you got to give up some of that money, take a step back to hire a guy to train them. And that's painful. And a lot of people don't like to do that. But if you're ever going to get free, you've got to get used to getting it all coming in and then taking a cut and pay to get some people. But what you find out is you think, well, I have $10,000 a month coming, but this guy needs $3,000 a month. So now I'm only going to make $7,000. But no, that's not what happens, because this guy for $3,000 a month only has to focus on one job. He's much better at it than you. He's not as good at it as you, but he's better because he's focused. And so you don't end up making just $10,000. You end up making $15,000 or $17,000 because 1 + 1 = 3 if you get the right people and train them right. You're right.
Yeah, I was at I was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, at a guy, Lee Arnold. And he's a coach out there, and he's got an incredible flipping business. And he always says whenever he looks to hire somebody, he wants a 1 to 7 return, right? I pay them $1,000. I want $7,000. I pay them $10,000. I want $70,000 out of their efforts, the amount of value that they can provide to the marketplace, to our community. That's what it needs to be. So he puts it, it's kind of put into the position where, okay, do we have enough opportunities for this person to be successful? Because as soon as you hire somebody, Mitch, you have their financial responsibilities in your hands. So you better be confident. You better have good direction. You better know that you've got enough opportunities for them to win. And then from there, how do they progress? How do they get better with their skills? How do they get more comfortable? How do they get more efficient? And then you start building that. But there is a dip for anywhere from 90 days to 6 months for sure, as you're starting to develop your business and get those people into that position.
That's probably one of the hardest things. I went to a mastermind called Collective Genius I was so burnt out, I was going to fold my business up in a box and walk away from $1.5 million a year because I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't make myself do it. So I thought, I don't care if I buy another house again ever. I'm so burnt out. So I'm going to take that attitude and I'm going to devote a year to trying to figure out how in the world to systematize my business.
I love it.
I spent $30,000 and of course I had the money. I went there almost predetermined to drink all the Kool-Aid. I was not going to give myself to a bunch of fools, but once I decided that they weren't fools, I was going to drink the Kool-Aid. I was going to let them unwind me, and then I was going to let them rewind me the way they wanted to. And I was actually not going to talk. I was going to, except for what I had to tell them about my business or where I was at. And I was going to shut up and I was going to listen and I was going to be a student and I was going to do what they said, even if I didn't think it would work. And it took about 14 months, but I haven't seen the last 500 houses I bought, and I haven't seen the last 500 people that bought my houses.
Right.
And I'm carrying the notes for most of them.
Yep.
A lot of them.
Yep.
And what happened was exactly that. I thought, out of I'm just picking a random number. Out of 1.5, I'll give up $700,000 in salaries, and I'll find some really good people, and I won't be making 1.5, but I'll still be making 700 plus.
Right. Yep.
In my retirement. That's not what happened. What happened was I didn't have to give up all that because they taught me how to pay people upon success. So 90% of my office doesn't get paid till the money hits the table or till the borrowed money comes to buy the house. It's not my money.
Yeah.
And I started making more than I ever made. And these people were making $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a month that are working for me.
Yep.
Well, that's because
a year, not a month, right, Mitch?
What?
A year?
I mean, a year.
Okay.
Not a month.
I was going to say, wow.
Yeah. Let's quit go work for Mitch.
I'm coming to work for you.
Yeah. $250,000 a year, So the dynamic is that when someone can sit in a chair and focus on their task, they're much better at it than someone who's probably technically more proficient, but doesn't have time.
Right.
And every seat in my office is that way. And it turned into a multiple, and I make more money than I ever thought. I did not take a cut and pay.
Yep.
I took a cut for a year or so. And what I figured out was I had tried to go and automate my business like 4 times and failed. And the reason why was when I was trying to automate, I never gave myself permission not to buy 100 houses. So I was trying to automate and fix my business with what was left over of me after 200 transactions, which was 100 in and 100 out.
Right.
There was nothing left of me.
No, that sounds like a nightmare, Mitch.
It was. That's why it failed.
I mean, that's cut. Yeah. Right.
So when you decide to go automate your business, you're going to have some money in the coffers. You're going to have some cash flow. You're going to have to eat through, and you're going to have to sit back. And some months are going to roll by where you're not going to do nearly the potential that you could have done. So not only are you spending money, but you're not making some money. It's a big number. But what is your freedom worth?
Right. Right. Well, and what's the vision? What is the vision that you have? What do you really want to accomplish? I don't think a lot of people really know, because, in the beginning, we just want our head above water. You know what I mean? We just want our head above water. And then as we start getting, we start standing up taller, and we start being able to really make some moves and hire and create really great teams and really great companies. What do you want to do with it? Truly, because it's internal, it's external, and it's philosophical. Everything is. Every story, everything that goes in our head, we're always going through these 3 things, right? The way that we feel about it, the way that it affects the people around us, the external, and is it helping humanity? What's our purpose on earth? What are we supposed to do here? All of those things, you really have to look at it and it doesn't have to be something that is somebody else's. It's got to be uniquely yours. And that's the beautiful part, and the tough part about being a leader is you need to be able to figure that out for yourself. You can't just regurgitate what somebody else thinks that your vision should be, because then you're just living a lie in itself. So there's a lot of self-work that goes in there. There's a lot of self-development. There's a lot of being around really, really incredible people, and just kind of upgrading all the time. It's a constant evolution when you become an entrepreneur. And that's what I love. I mean, we all know people that, once college was done or high school was done, they just got their trade, and they're just going to stay in here, and they're going to do the same things over and over and over. And that's their life. Well, I can't live that way. I'm sure people listening to that can't live that way. You got to always constantly be putting good stuff in, plunging all the out, because that's dumping in our brains all day, every day, and surround ourselves with really incredible people. And then life's so good. What is your higher reason now? What is your higher reason? Why are you doing this now? Besides, not for the money anymore. Beyond the money, what's your higher reason? This is kind of people love going the whole family thing. I don't like. My family would live with me, Mitch, in a van, parked by, the canal. All right. They would be happy. They would do it. It's not that. I honestly I feel like I was born, I hit the lottery, being born a white American male. Nothing that I did to earn that. I just was, right? And so I think that I've got a lot of potential. I've got a lot of things that internally, I just have a big motor, and I want to see how far I can go with it. So I think it's the constant pursuit of just learning more and providing more value to the community. And so go ahead.
There you said it. Providing more value to the community. You're beyond. It's about more than the money now. It's about what impact do I have on something besides me and my family? Where does this go? For me, I decided a long time ago, and it really helps if you can find a higher reason for your business besides just profit. A long time ago, I said, you know what? I didn't invent this, but I looked at my business as what could be the higher reason of this business. And I am changing renters who would never be able to buy a house into owners. And that is a noble cause, because 85 to 90% of the Americans in the United States find the bulk of their net worth in the equity of the home they bought 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yep.
That's the bulk of their net worth. And that's where their stability came from. That's where the roots grew in the ground. That's where the memories were made. A lot of good stuff happens there. And neighborhoods are better with owners than renters, And so I'm helping a whole lot of different, and I'm taking $20,000 houses, doing a $30,000 rehab, and getting a new tax value for the city at $100,000. I'm increasing revenue all over the place and increasing people's lifestyle.
Yep.
That's the house flipping business. The educational business, Dave Ramsey does the primal screen when people get debt free. Yep. Dave Ramsey would have hated me. I bought my first 100 houses on credit cards. He would have hated me. Yeah. But we ring the bell at my office when people figure out how to replace their job and take control of their 2,600 hours. And to me, that's a noble cause, because if I change that man's life or that woman's life, I have changed their children's life, their grandchildren's life, their parents' life. I'm changing a whole bunch of lives. Yep. And that's kind of where I'm at 60, you know?
Yeah. The way I see it, Mitch, is when it comes to the coaching side, which is the majority of my efforts and my energies go towards that now, because I've got an incredible team on the real estate side. I think we're in a beautiful, unique time in history that I really I'm excited to be a part of. And this is the vision and the why, so to speak, as a coach, is you can have somebody that comes from the worst background, not a lot of money, but they have that, they have that hustle gene. They have that fire in their belly to succeed. And if you give them enough shots, if you give them enough address, names, and phone numbers of properties that are in bad shape or vacant, they can change their lives. And I've seen it. I interview people twice a week, every single week, describing this, breaking this down. I see it. It doesn't matter if you're from the South or the North or West Coast, East Coast. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter across the entire country. I've got students in Israel that are making 6 figures a month. I mean, it is just the opportunity here. You used to have some wild talent to really make it out of certain situations. And now you can go through real estate and really build wealth that maybe your family's never had. And I get to be a part of that. And I get to guide a lot of those people to be able to make sure that they don't make the mistakes and make sure that they've got backup, make sure that I am one of those 5 people that they're spending the most time with. And that is what I think is incredible. You see these kids making $25,000, $35,000, $75,000 at like 23 years old or 19 years old or, whatever else, wholesaling properties. It's incredible. And you just think with a start like that and with being able to expand your mind into thinking bigger and crossing that bridge, we start in this business and it's all faith-based. We believe we can do it. I have the faith that I can do that. Once you make your first dollar in real estate and you cross that bridge to it being a fact that your efforts and voice and talent and skills and energy can get you a check in this business, and it can be a lifestyle, and it could change your whole family's financial future or destiny, whatever you want to call it, just from being proactive. I'm going to scream from the rooftops, Mitch. I'm going to tell everybody about it. I'm going to be as loud as possible because there's more than enough inventory. The U.S. Census 2020, there's over 11 million properties that have been vacant for over a year in the United States. There's more properties than there are investors. So I'm going to be as loud as I can about it, Mitch, and tell everybody about it.
Yeah, so we've talked about some pretty big numbers here. You've done a lot of volume. I've done a decent amount of volume. Just remember, you don't have to do a whole lot to change your whole life. You could do 4 properties a year and change everything.
You could do 1 a month and you're in the top 5% income earners in the world. This is not, everybody wants to jump from, I've never done a deal to I want to be a millionaire, and I get it. But how about let's make our first 10K. Then let's shoot for the first 50 and the first 100, right? Yeah. That's life-changing money. It really is.
Some of the most unfortunate stories I've ever heard are the guys that went out and made $150,000 on their first deal. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. Oh, no. That's his first deal. That's horrible. I mean, it's great and I get it, but sometimes it's a recipe for disaster.
But then they stop, and it's Newton's law. He's been talking about it since the 1600s. Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion unless they're acted upon by an outside force. And unfortunately, in our business, the outside force sometimes, Mitch, is huge checks. You know what I mean? It really does. It just stops us, right in our tracks, and we start thinking too much and we stop acting. So for everybody out there, I know we're kind of all over the place, and this has just been a fun podcast, and I hope that you're getting something out of this. But just remember, as a real estate entrepreneur, there's 3 parts. And Mitch, you could tell me if you disagree, if you agree, whatever. But I break it down into lead generation, right? That's your ability to find these opportunities. converting those, right? Getting them actually under contract and getting those signed, whether you're buying them, whether you're assigning them, or whether you're buying it to flip it or buy it to hold it. And then exit strategy, right? That's it. You got lead generation, conversion of those leads, and then your exit strategy, which is either buy and hold, buy and sell, or assign those and wholesale. I mean, anything I'm missing there, Mitch?
No, I kind of have the same thought. There's acquisition, there's funding, and there's sales.
That's it.
But in order to get an acquisition, you have to be a marketer. So you're talking about lead generation. So
lead generation.
It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're not a marketer, you're sunk. So marketer goes without saying. You have to be able to market. Hey, you've got some giveaways going on here.
Yes.
I bet you have addressed some of these three things. I want everyone to go to 1000houses.com/Brent, Brent. And what are they going to see over there in the show notes? What are you offering these folks to
listen, TTP Insider. So ttpinsider.com, it'll direct you right there. But in case you're just whatever, it is we've got a toolbox of a ton of different resources, whether that be scripts, whether that be contracts, whether it be just a breakdown of how to get your first deal and how to get going. So it's a phenomenal. We've put a ton of effort into it, a ton of work. The whole team's behind it. It's phenomenal. I encourage everybody to go check that out. Even if you're doing business, it could clean up maybe some of the processes that are kind of sticking points in your business or bottlenecks. Definitely check it out. TTP Insider.
TTPinsider.com.
TTP is talk to people, baby. That's the whole business, Mitch, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, you have to be on your phone all the time, whether you're texting or you're calling or whatever else. You need to be actively communicating all the time, especially if you're building up your business. I'm telling you, the louder that you are and the more that people know that you're passionate about this business, you become a magnet. Opportunities fly your way.
In 1996 and 1997, when phone bills weren't the way they are now.
Yep.
I used 6,700 minutes a month average, and my phone bill was $1,800 a month. It was.
I love you, Mitch.
It was four times more than my house.
I'm telling you. And now you're a multi-millionaire. I mean, like, I am telling you, there is a secret to this. It's TTP. I mean, this isn't just self-promotion here. It's literally like a philosophy. You need to break out of your shell and be proactive and have confidence and go and stand tall and go tell everybody that you love real estate, you love working with ugly houses, and that if anybody runs across them, that they should reach out to you. And there's so many different exit strategies you can use if you know how to source the deals. You can find money for those projects.
Let's talk to people who think you have to have money to make money in this business. Address that. It's a disease out there that's horrible. It's rampant. Everyone says, I don't have enough money to get in that business.
Listen, and I think everybody can answer this for themselves, but if you go out today and you go around your neighborhood and you find the ugliest house and you get their phone number, there's a million different sites that you could do it. Batch skip tracing is where I get it. You get those.
Well, yeah, but I don't have one myself. I promote Skip Genie.
Perfect. Either one. Okay.
It doesn't matter what you use. You just get one.
You get the phone number. You call them up. You find, and it says on Zillow that this house is worth $280,000. Okay. You talk to the owner. They say they want $60,000 for it. You can go to any meetup group, any investor group, any Facebook real estate investing group out there and say, listen, I got this smoking deal. I need to have a financial partner to help me do this deal. And you will have people lined up for the opportunity. There are people that have the money. They need somebody to go find the deals. That's the fact. If you're starting out and you have no money, your job is deal finder. And you simply go out and you find it in a ton of tools in TTP Insider, but you go out and find those deals, you source those opportunities, people will be attracted to you. They will want to do business with you, and the money's going to be there.
You said the key, and I said it 1,000 times. You almost said the exact same words. When you don't have money, you're a professional deal finder.
That's it.
Contract writer upper. You're a professional deal finder, contract writer upper. You got to get yourself as much time as you can to take the pressure off of you, so you don't have to find the money in 1 day or 2 days, but give yourself 30 days, 45 days. And if you have any kind of deal at all, the money will show up if you'll just let people know. And if no one shows up for your deal, guess what? You didn't have a deal.
Yep. That's it. That's exactly right. And listen, that's That's how you do it without money. That's how you find it without money. You find those opportunities. Just find an ugly house, talk to the property owner, and rinse and repeat. That's it. If you ask enough people, and the average right now, Mitch, and listen, I coach all around the country, and I've talked, this is like my speciality, is understanding the metrics behind this. You talk to 200 people, 200 owners of distressed properties, you will do one deal. You'll probably do more, but you'll do at least one deal. Now, and here's the hard part, Mitch. 199 people are going to reject you, or they're going to drag it on, or
they're going to reject you today, because some of those will come back tomorrow and be your late.
Right. That's right.
But
it's just whether or not you're willing to be rejected by another human, 199, to get that one deal that makes you 20K, and then do that over and over and over and build a business based around that.
Okay, so let's flip the table, because I love to do this to people. In order to make 25K, would you like to make 20,000, 25,000? Everybody in the audience, raise your hand. Okay, here's your goal. You have to get 100. You have to get 200 no's in a row, and I bet you can't do it.
Right.
You set your goal to get 200 no's in a row. That's your goal. If you can get 200 no's in a row, you're probably going to screw up and make 25, 30 grand.
Yeah, every no's $100. You know what I mean? Like, if I gave you $100 every time somebody said no to you, I would have to tear you off the phone. I would literally have to tear. If I gave you $1,000 an hour, because it usually takes about 20 hours to talk to 200 people. That's what it is. If I paid you $1,000 an hour, if I stood there and just gave you $1,000 an hour for every hour that you called distressed property owners, whether it be probate, pre-foreclosure, driving for dollars, just ugly houses, tired landlords, vacant land, whatever it is, whatever you want to do, tax defaults, all these other, these signs of distress, and you talk to 200 people, you're going to get a deal. I mean, you are going to get a deal.
I like this because
and it's going to take you about 20 hours, and it could be worth $20,000. So if I'm there handing you $1,000 an hour to call those people, I would have to tear everybody listening to this off the phone every single day. But that's the reality. It truly is.
I really like this because the people out there listening, this man has painted a realistic picture of what it takes. If you're not willing to talk to 200 people, don't expect much. You know what I mean? Yep. I wish it was less. I wish it was only 50 people, but I'm sorry. The truth of the matter is the man's telling you the truth. So ask up what it's going to take to call 200 people. And it's going to, like you said, about 20 hours. That's a very, very realistic, conservative point. And you may get lucky and do 2 or 3, but he's not even saying that because he doesn't want to set expectations that way. And I would much rather you go do the 20 and get 2 deals instead of, but that's the real life of it. Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, but Mitch, people will spend 2,600 hours that you mentioned earlier.
For $15 an hour.
For net, probably. Yeah. Even if you're making 30, you're taking home 15, right? So what do you want to do? Either way, you're going to have to do something. So do you want to do it for yourself, or do you want to do it for somebody else? Do you want to build these skills? Because I'm telling you this, after you talk to 1,000 property owners and you ask them if they would consider an offer on their property, you can talk to anybody about anything. It bleeds, it blends into your life. Like having that, there's not a lot of people that have had that many conversations with people. It makes you a better communicator. It makes your tone better, your pacing better, the words that you use better. I am telling you, it is a skill that never goes away. So there's just huge advantages to being proactive and helping people out. Here's the thing that we haven't talked about, Mitch. The fact is, all of these people that are in distress, statistically 6 to 10% of the real estate market at all times is in some form of distress, whether it be financially or physically or emotionally. It's all baked in there. We are helping the people that aren't going to help themselves. That's the trueness to this thing. People are going to sit there and either lose these houses, or it's going to get into so bad a repair that they get literally nothing out of it. We are there to go and help these people out of this situation. You cannot force anybody to sell you their house. You can't convince them. You can't say the magic words. You can't do any of those things. We are deal finders, not deal creators out there. Just keep that in mind. Deal finders, not deal creators. We find properties when they're ready to sell at the price that we're willing to offer them, and that's how we make income.
All right, that's pretty cool. So I want everyone to go to ttpinsider.com. I want you to get the free. There's a ton of free stuff over there.
Yep.
I don't see how you go wrong. You don't know what to say. There's scripts over there, man. Go get some scripts.
That's right.
I would like to thank livecom.com for sponsoring this episode, livecom.com. I have an average of 4 days on the market in the last 200 houses. Average 4 days on the market, and I put no signs in the yards. None, not one, not around the neighborhood, nowhere, no signs. It took a little while to get there. It took a little while for me to figure it out, but you want to see how I'm doing that? Just go to livecom.com, watch some of the videos on the front page.
What is it? Spell the last part.
livecom.com as in live communication.
Love
we
it.
sell smartphone numbers. They're $2 a piece. Anytime someone calls that smartphone number from a cell phone, we capture their cell phone number. It goes into a text distribution list. We can text them any information we want. We can send out auto reply text. We can forward it to recordings that explain all that information about the houses while we're capturing their phone number. So we don't even have to talk to them to tell them those 150 facts about the house before we get down to whether they even have any money or not. You don't have to do that. Let the recordings do that.
I love that, Mitch. I'll tell you what, I have had 3 break-ins on rentals as soon as I put a sign in the yard. You know what I mean? You put that sign in the yard, all of a sudden, people that are driving around, people that are kind of scoping out the hood are like, okay, wait a second, that's a vacant property. Let's go check out and see what's going on. 3 times, the appliance is ripped out of there.
Yeah, so
it's a huge advantage. I would look into that LiveCom. That's really cool.
We had to do it because the city inspectors got so bad, and they were fining us for work that was done without a permit 5 years before I owned the house.
Yeah,
or making me tear the porch off because 5 years ago someone put a porch on without a permit. It got so bad, so that was just one of the ways that we do it. But there's so many advantages to using that kind of technology. Just go over to livecom.com and check it out. But I would like to thank them as a sponsor for today's episode. I appreciate it. Anything you want to say to the audience there, maybe before we wrap it up, Brent?
Listen, clarity and discipline. Really, really get clear on what you want to do. And if it's just to do your first deal, just focus. If you haven't done your first deal, just focus on doing your first deal. Just find at least 200 addresses, probably 300 addresses that you're just driving around, and get those addresses, get the phone numbers. There's a ton of different apps. There's a ton of different resources. They pretty much do everything for you, but get those addresses, find those properties that need some love out there, call them up, and you're going to get opportunities. And it just takes that one to really light that fire in your brain that says, you know what, I can do this. I can do this full time. This could be my thing. I can build a real awesome life out of this. And I encourage you. I know you can. Again, I interview people all the time that have completely changed their lives because of this business. So you can do this. That's my message. You can do it.
Let me add one thing to it, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yep.
It would really help if you would find yourself a mentor that has already accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. Sure. And please make sure that he is the person that you want to be on and off the field, because there's no separation between the two. If the guy's a bad guy off the field, it's going to bleed over to the business. So make sure that guy that you choose is the kind of person you would like to be on and off the field, because you're going to be hanging around them a lot, and we don't need to pick up any bad habits. You know what I mean? So
that's right.
I appreciate you being on, man. It's a pleasure. By the way, Brent and I are in the same mastermind. We're multipliers. And just in case there's some men out there in need, let's just tell them a little bit about that. Multipliers was designed to take high-level, high-functioning, very successful men and give them a place to go to talk so that the success doesn't implode them. Right. And that's where we go, because there's always another obstacle to handle. The higher you go up the financial chain, there is many more temptations that you're able to purchase or to get yourself into. And so Multipliers is dedicated to 50 men at one time. And these men get to talk about man problems and wealthy problems, and just problems that people will have when they're in control or responsible for many people's lives. Yep. And so they help men before they implode and walk out and burn it all down to the ground. And said, let's have a conversation before you hit that red button and blow everything up. Let's just talk. Let's calm down. Let's back up. How do we get a handle on this? How do we improve?
Yeah, and I think it's important to be surrounded by people that have the same interests and the same, have been through a lot of the same things. So it's an incredible mastermind group. Chris Arnold's done a fantastic job. It's in beautiful Tulum. I take my wife to it every year. She gets days to herself, which she absolutely loves. Kids aren't around, and then we get to go out at night and have a great time. So it's phenomenal. Yeah, I love it. There you go.
All right. There's always another level to go to and always another mastermind to be in, because if you don't stop, it will never stop. And so keep going on.
Yep.
All right, my friend. This is Mitch Stephen with 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for stopping by to get you some Brent Daniels. Remember, ttpinsider.com. Go get that free stuff. Can't go wrong. Thank you so much, Brent.
Thanks, Mitch.